my first encounter with Brother James was in 1967. I was finishing 8th grade and I was registered to go to Cretin High School, which was an all-boy military school. And so I remember my father bringing me there, and we walked into the gym and Brother James was there. And he gave me an ID card. He told me where I needed to be measured for my military uniform, and then also gave me a list of books that I needed. And I remember looking up and seeing on the card, his name on the card was Brother Leo William at the time. And then he eventually went back to his own name, which many brothers did. So, but I remember looking up and thinking, whoa, this guy's big. And I remember thinking too, I hope I don't have him for class. And sure enough, he was my homeroom teacher and religion teacher the first year. So at one point, I was given detention, and I had to go after school. I had to meet with the dean of students and a group of other students, and it was in March, and we had to take down hockey boards on the school property. And I was just a tiny freshman, and so clearly it was some pretty tough work. Anyway, I remember seeing the dean standing up on the hill watching us and giving us directions in terms of what we needed to do and where to place the hockey boards. So all of a sudden I saw Brother James come out, and I saw him talk to him. And the reason I was put on detention is because my parents did not call when I was absent. But I was in the hospital, and I was in an extended period of time. And my parents thought, well, you just call once, but the policy was you call every day, and they didn't. So I ended up taking hockey boards down. So when I saw James come out, and he was wearing a long black robe, so it was hard to miss, I saw him speaking to the dean of students, and all of a sudden the dean called me up, about 15 minutes into the hour of detention. He says, go home. And I thought, James had something to do with this. So I think what he did, I know he did, he explained to the dean that I was in the hospital and it wasn't realistic for me to be put on detention because my parents didn't call. So anyway, so I think there are a number of things he did behind the scenes that I think was really cool too, because that's, to me, that really moved me. Those types of actions that he did, where he would do something for other people and no one knew until, unfortunately, at his death. I was in a car at the intersection of Grand and Lexington and St. Paul, not too far from Cretin High School. At the time, I was a religion teacher and campus minister at the school. And about a year prior, the March before, Archbishop Oscar Romero had been killed, and then in December, 3 sisters and a laywoman were killed in El Salvador. So it was very much on our minds about missionaries. And while I was driving in the car, there was a news flash about a murder of a missionary, and eventually they came out with a name. So I remember thinking, oh my gosh, because this was in February, and he was living with us. He was on a homestay, but staying with us in the brothers' residence at Cretin during the Christmas break. So yeah, I was somewhat taken aback. Because I was a campus minister, I coordinated liturgies at the high school, and our provincialate, our headquarters, was just a few blocks from the high school. And the provincial or of the brothers had called me and asked if I would work with Archbishop Roach, and Father James Nodebart. By the way, Father James Nodebart is our chaplain up on the Twin Cities campus. And at the time, he was the director of liturgy and worship for the Archdiocese of St. Paul. So my provincial called and asked if I would work with them in coordinating the funeral. And simultaneously, the mortician from St. Paul, which again was a few blocks from the school, the funeral home, the mortician was a family friend. And when James's body was flown up to the States, he was wearing a white habit or white robe. And it was customary for the people to touch the body. And as you're aware, many of them worked in the fields. They were in agriculture. So the robe was pretty dirty. And so the mortician asked if there was another robe that we could put on him for the visitation purposes. So I said, sure, I'll hunt one down. And so it was the robe that I was vested in as a novice. So that's how it happened. I recall as a young person when we'd read about people that were beatified or canonized, they were always seemed to be very, very pious and way out of the ordinary. And so the fact that James has been beatified says that regardless of who we are, and we're all broken, we're not perfect, and certainly James wasn't. So it makes me feel proud and more hopeful that more people can join the ranks of what James has been recognized as.